one of the largest health plans in the world, Anthem, or in the country certainly, Anthem. And hi, Siavash, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Stan. Thanks for having me this morning.
Yeah, I really appreciate you joining us. And first of all, tell everyone where you are and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I am a medical director on what's called the Digital Care Delivery Team at Anthem. I lead a group of researchers and clinicians in supporting Anthem's digital organization around our clinical guideposts. And so that involves identifying and evaluating vendor partners, particularly around their clinical evidence, developing pilots and supporting their deployment and operations, and then thinking about broader clinical strategy and how Anthem, in its efforts to digitize the future of its work, provides resources for members to improve their health and well-being, providers to engage in more value and better care, and throughout all of that, supporting important components of equity, particularly digital health equity, thinking about health disparities, and developing a broad base of solutions that serve folks across all kinds of demographic and socioeconomic strata. So that is big. I'm also a practicing ER physician. I still see patients about once a week at San Francisco General Hospital with the group at UCSF. So I'm based in the Bay Area.
So I guess, do you ever sleep, or is this something that you basically are online 24/7? How do you put it all together? That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, it's been a busy, rewarding, and tragic year for a number of reasons. But the work is important, so it keeps me going.
That's impressive. So going to the Anthem side, certainly would love to learn about what you're doing in the ER as well. But on the Anthem side, most of our audience really wants to hear about your role on a day-to-day basis at Anthem, leading the digital health adoption efforts there. Tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day, more tactically, more granularly.
Yeah, so I spend a good bit of my day working on and providing clinical leadership for the asthma digital study. It's a 2-year randomized control trial in partnership with the University of California, Irvine, and Apple in evaluating digital support for asthma self-management. And so we are deep in recruitment for that study and continuing that with the hopes of finding meaningful outcomes and improvements in asthma management and unexpected emergent care. So that involves what it takes to manage a study and support our PI and our other partners in collecting data, overseeing safety, privacy, and ensuring that we're addressing any needs of the study participants and collecting good data. So, and then eventually evaluation of that. In addition to that, Anthem Digital is set up in a way where there are multiple teams addressing different areas of innovation. And so I assist across those teams, our business leaders, as well as our technical and design folks on really anything clinical. So whether it's providing advisement around how a certain condition is currently managed, bringing a provider viewpoint to solutions that we're considering, or ensuring that capabilities that we develop are set up in a way to actually reach the members and the end users in a way that's in step with typical clinical workflows, in addition to providing some guidance around public health impact, et cetera. So more of kind of a consultative role there, and then sort of at the strategic level, we want to think about have the greatest impact on any particular condition, set of conditions, or folks with complex comorbidities. So, you know, when we're thinking about digital solutions, and you know, that may have any direct impact on the care of a member, I usually get involved and provide support along with my team. So again, as I mentioned, we help design pilots, we help evaluate vendor evidence. That involves, you know, really reading papers and assessing their level of evidence. We engage in some thought leadership across the digital ecosystem, and work with professional organizations as well as other academicians who are looking to either gain insight from the payer space or develop a tool that could be useful for us.
That's fantastic. And let's touch upon some of the pilot stuff and some of the early adoption stuff that you talked about. And again, you know, just stuff that's on the public record, of course, already. Mm-hmm. Talk to the audience, again, coming in from around the world, and a lot of folks who would love to work with Anthem sure. About what you do, what you've done, and what you're looking for in the future.
Yeah, so I've already mentioned the asthma digital study. That's kind of our, if I could say, our baby right now. And there's a lot of important stuff there. I mean, first and foremost, we are looking to improve the way that folks with adults with asthma self-manage. At a higher level, we're also looking at an approach to developing digital tools with, you know, a product partner and an academic partner that we can then replicate across other conditions or other populations. So we've developed a model around this study and think that it could be applicable to related conditions like COPD or extend into the pediatric zone. But then, you know, even less sort of obvious extensions like hypertension and diabetes, conditions that require persistent adherence to medication, lifestyle change, avoidance of sort of triggers and exacerbating factors. So, you know, we think that we'll be able to take what we learn here and kind of develop a model for this kind of partnership and this kind of evidence generation. And that also, you know, part of what that study involves is incorporating Medicaid populations into the cohort, and you know, as part of that is to ensure that, you know, we have a good representative generalizable sample. Another is to learn about what kind of factors it takes to be successful in digital health in that population, given the health disparities that exist between underserved populations and more well-resourced cohorts. You know, we want to be sure that we're developing digital health tools that won't worsen disparities, right? You've got a population that's already well equipped to handle a lot of chronic conditions. That population historically had better access to things like broadband and other technologies that support clinical connectivity, but that's dissolving, right? Particularly with smartphones, we're seeing that populations of lower income, you know, older populations that have historically been thought to be less inclined to use technology, you know, are becoming more adept. And so now it's a design issue, right? Now we want to get into how do we design tools that speak to varying levels of literacy and numeracy, cultural components that make that create barriers for digital health utilization, generating trust and getting communities involved. So that is stuff that we're working on. We've got a new chief health officer and chief health equity officer who are doing many things, but we're excited to partner with them around some of those concerns and addressing social determinants of health along the way. Anthem has launched its Sydney platform in a number of states across our commercial accounts, in addition to a number of Medicaid states. So we look forward to seeing what the engagement and the impact there looks like, and how we can adjust along the way to better impact more communities. Sorry, I can go on if I hope some of that's helpful.
No, that's super helpful. And by the way, major kudos to not just you, but the entire team at Anthem for focusing on these areas, hiring a chief equity officer, health equity officer. I mean, these are the sorts of things that are really badly needed in this country. We have so many folks in need of better healthcare coordination in America today, and very low resourced people that are really they just don't understand the complexity of the healthcare system. No one does. Even people in healthcare, their entire life, when they get into the healthcure system, they still can't believe how complicated it is to manage. And so, these sorts of efforts are critical. We've got only a few minutes left, and I think we could talk for hours here, and I think the audience will do it too. But last question, we have got a minute left. It's kind of a freelance question. Whatever you want to talk about, whether the stuff you're doing in Medicaid, some of your lessons learned, last 60 seconds, what do you want to highlight?
Just reiterate some of the things I've said. I think that there's great potential in digital health to support wellness and to support the health needs across a broad range of people and geographies. I think it's incumbent on us as an industry in this nascent stage to adhere to high quality evidence standards, to ensure that we are not harming anyone, and that is true whenever we're dealing with healthcare and medicine. But there are going to be new challenges that arise, particularly when we think about privacy, security, and trust. And so, these are all very top of mind in our work. And we are always eager to work with partners who align along those posts. We want to be sure, again, that we're addressing those who could benefit the most and may need some of the innovations that help break barriers to access, break barriers to knowledge, and also support providers who are looking really to generate value and care along the continuum of support that individuals need, from inside their homes and communities into the clinics, and then when needed, the acute care and inpatient setting, so that we're sort of there as a partner along the entire way. So that's something that we can achieve as an industry, and bring together in a way that optimizes around human-centered needs, looks deeply at the way that we deploy these tools, particularly in communities where trust can be of particular importance when introducing new interventions, and being sure that we are partnering with the appropriate agents to sort of make sure that the things that we do reach the appropriate hands in the right way. So hopefully that helps give some understanding of what we're doing. I'm happy to address questions. I think my email is somewhere if folks want to reach out, and look forward to seeing what the future holds, both at Anthem and across digital health as a whole. No,
Dr. Sarlati, really appreciate it. We've got a rare instance here where one of our guests is running a little late, and from Bear Ventures and the business development licensing side. So I wanted to introduce you to Bill from Merck, the CEO of Merck Global Innovation Fund. I don't know how much you know about Bill and what he's done there, but it's a $1 billion digital health evergreen fund, one of the most active investors in digital health over the last 20 years, and was behind the Livongo launch and IPO and exit as well, Teladoc, and has just sold off Preventus for $1 billion after really funding that through a series of venture funds, and is working on a lot of novel methodologies in venture financing and kind of spectrum financing, if you want to call it that. And thought, maybe you want to ask Bill a question. Bill, do you want to ask Dr. Sarlati a question? But this could be a little fun. In the audience, we've got our Q&A box open. If any of the audience has questions for either one of these extraordinary change makers in the ecosystem, feel free to Q&A it. I've got the box open, and I'll pick it up there. But Bill, do you want to ask him a question? Because you work with health plans all the time and trying to understand.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, based on what I was listening to, one of the big initiatives that we need to be more engaged with is the social determinants of health, and I think you were commenting on that. And just curious how, your thoughts around, obviously I'm part of a pharma, Merck, how we can better partner and engage with all of you as we think about how do we get access across, different, parts of the ecosystem that don't have access to many of the medicines that at least that not only Merck, but the other pharmaceutical companies have.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to think about there. One is, medication management is difficult, right? So particularly across a broad population and as well as in, a complex population, right? And so there's constantly new medications that are coming out, old medications that prove effective continuously and change as far as their pricing and their licensing goes. So, there's opportunities, I think, to use data as well as decision support for providers in optimizing sort of medication regimens. I think that med reconciliation is one of the big HEDIS quality metrics. We can improve ways on connecting with patients and their primary care doctors to ensure that those reviews are occurring, and that not only are we balancing what's most effective, but what people have access to, right? A medication does nothing if it's not in the hands of who it needs to be in. So, and there's a balance there between ensuring that we're being cost effective, but also providing access to the most effective care. I think there's opportunities there to support some of that decision making, particularly as things evolve, right? I'll just get into one example. And when I was in residency in New Orleans, we treated a lot of skin infections, abscesses, et cetera. And at that time, doxycycline was a medication that when I started residency was on the $4 drug list at Walmart. So, and I worked at the county hospital. My clinical focus has been in safety net settings. So, that is an extremely effective medication for MRSA suspected infections, and it was on the $4 drug list. We could dole it out. It was a great medication for that. And then somewhere along the way, it found a new indication for acne treatment. Price went up, went off the $4 drug list, and we engaged in like a 2 to 3 week endeavor to find a good replacement for it, just looking at the various formularies and reading the papers. And so, that kind of change can happen faster, right? You can develop systems that help both hospitals and clinics understand those changes better. I think, too, there is great opportunity in prescription digital therapeutics. So this is a little bit different than what you're asking, but as far as what a drug company could help with is, this is, we're entering a phase, I think now, where the FDA is going to continue to provide more guidance around how to build a regulatory framework around prescription digital therapeutics. I think there's going to be opportunities to sort of pair digital interventions with medical with pharmacological interventions and find synergies there, and make one more effective than the other, or with the other, or cost effective. So there may be opportunities there to develop sort of sister programs that pair a digital tool with medication management and really personalize that experience, to incorporating the individual's day-to-day life. So, someone who works night shift or has a lot of childcare issues or has transportation issues may have certain dependencies and barriers to not only filling medications, but taking them. And can we sort of provide them the data they need for those barriers to go away? And that may involve, like, um, simply dedicating kind of a digital adjunct, say, for instance, to insulin, right? Particularly if you're supporting lifestyle change and people are losing weight and changing their dosages or going even getting better and going back to oral meds, like that sometimes requires day-to-day support, right? That you can't always get from your primary care doctor or their or extenders. And so, there's really I think some optimization that can happen and some efficiencies that can be supported. In addition to things like corporate responsibilities, supporting
Right.
drug programs, making it easier for folks to pick up and get their medications. Sorry, I'm monologuing here. One more thing, one more thought on that is, transportation technology too, right? So we have ways, and we've seen it during COVID. We've had ways of getting folks partnering with organizations like Lyft or Uber, getting folks to vaccination sites. Well, what about taking things into the home, right? We've got a lot of great companies that are developing drone technology, logistics technology, and even delivery coordination. We can do that to make it easier for folks to just physically get their medications, and improve the supply chain there too, which might ultimately reduce costs and again make access even better.